I'm very excited to have my next guest join us. He is the lead singer and one of the founders of one of my favorite bands, Against the Current, who just dropped a brand new EP called Fever. It's Chrissy Costanza.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
I'm doing great. Can't complain. Having a fun release week. So,
You've had an interesting year. I do want to note that you
yeah.
are in LA and you moved to LA right in the middle of the pandemic, which I found very interesting.
Oh,
What,
yeah.
what
Mid
was it?
panini.
What was that like? I'm sure there was a catalyst involved in motivation. Could you explain?
Yes. For the first time, there was no touring plans, which is super bizarre for my band because we tend to write our records in between legs of tours. We don't really finish touring and then go into record mode and then go back to touring. It's somehow always intertwined. So this is the first time there was no touring on the books, no foreseeable touring on the books for a while. And I got an offer to host a gaming style show. And I'm a huge gamer. I've been a gamer since I was 3. So I was really stoked about it. And I took the risk. And that's actually honestly what Jump is about, was all about taking that risk because I was really afraid to move cross country by myself mid pandemic with nothing but 2 suitcases. And I did it, and it actually has been the best decision I've ever made. I'm so happy that I did it.
How do you like living in LA? I'm sure during that time you had work and then went back home.
Yeah.
It's different than normal times, so to speak, where you're maybe a little bit more tempted with the LA lifestyle, party scene, and all that stuff.
Luckily, I am a grandmother and I am not, I am the world's, a lot of my friends joke that I am the world's worst rock star because am such a homebody, but I actually, I've been having a lot of fun in LA. So it actually has brought me out of my shell quite a bit, which has been great for me. I've made a lot of new friends, even in the virtual space, and it's been a really amazing experience. It was definitely bizarre at first because of the pandemic. Obviously, nothing was normal. You couldn't really hang out with people. If you did, there was always like that little bit of fear attached to it, even if you were masked up outside, socially distanced, whatnot. I just make fun of myself. I'm like, wow, I'm such a cliche. I'm going through my quarter life crisis at 25, like right on the dot. I'm just like, I don't know who I am anymore. And then I move across the country and refine myself. I was like, wow, couldn't get more cliche, but it's been a blast.
Now, there's another song in the EP called Again and Again that tackles the topic of mental health. It's been at the forefront as of late, with a lot of artists talking about it, writing songs about it. More recently at the Olympics with Simone Biles unable to compete. What are some of the mental health issues that you've been facing, and was there a particular motivation for writing this song?
I think that's something that's always kind of been present in my life. I've always been vocal about my own mental health struggles and my own, I actually, in moving to LA, I saw a psychiatrist for the first time, and I was actually like finally diagnosed with OCD for the first time. I kind of had like self-diagnosed myself for years with the trifecta of OCD, depression, anxiety, and I finally have that now on paper, which is like, congratulations, you guessed it. But I do think that for me, writing again and again was really important because there have been so many times in my life where I tried to talk myself out of it, be like just solely saying like, oh, it's all in your head, because there's people around me who tried to say it, whether it's family or friends or people who are close to you and don't want to see you struggle, even if they mean well. You get a lot of that, like, it's not real, especially when it comes to anxiety and depression. It's like, especially if you have a good life. Like I have a good life. Sometimes you feel that guilt. You're like, what do I have to complain about? And I think that was the really important thing. Again and again, it's written, if you look at the lyrics, as if you're in a physical place. But for me, that physical place was inside of my head. And there are lines about it being real to me. And I think the most important thing when it comes to mental health is realizing that what's real to you in your head is valid and is real. It doesn't matter if it's existing in your head. It doesn't make it any less real and impactful. And I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd, and that actually there was a Dumbledore quote that really impacted me when in the last book, when Harry's kind of like, but Dumbledore, is this all happening in my head? And Dumbledore is like, of course it's happening in your head, but does that make it any less real? And that hit me because I was like, dang, I've been telling myself all this time, oh, it's in your head, just stop, like get over it. And that's not fair. I wasn't being fair to myself. And so that's what this song was kind of working through.
You have been in this band for 10 years, right?
Mm.
How have you seen the evolution as individuals and as a group? Because I find that very interesting in how you've been able to maintain that friendship and also the consistency and output of your music.
Yeah, the guys and we have I think we have a really unique relationship. Um, I think there's a lot of bands that got together because they were like buddies, right? Like they were best friends and they'd be like, how cool would it be to be in a band together? And sometimes that is a terrible idea. It's like, don't go into business with your friends type thing. The guys and I met to start the band and we build our friendship through the band. So it worked very well in that sense where there wasn't like this pre-existing friendship that we were going to like when things went wrong with the band or when there were disagreements, etc., like there wasn't tension into our friendship because of that, because our friendship was interwoven into the band. But we've grown up so much together as well and developed together and around each other. And this EP in particular was so important for our development as artists. I think like you said, we've been a band for 10 years, but we weren't giving ourselves credit for the experience that we have gained during that time. We were still deferring to everybody else around us, being like, you know better, you know better, you know better. And I think we realized with the last album, we know better. We know our fans. We're the ones that are with them every day on tour, talking to them every day online. Managers, no matter how great they are, labels, no matter how great they are, creative people around you, producers, writers, everybody, no matter how great all of them are, they are all working on multiple things. For us, it's against the current is the only thing all three of us are in every day, 24/7, 365 days a year. And with this EP, we really took responsibility for the EP, and other people had their hands on it. There was some producers, there was our management, there was our label, but way, way, way more passively than in the past. And in this EP was truly Chrissy, Dan, and Will hands deep in it and kind of touching every little aspect of it and making sure it was a reflection of us three more than anybody else.
This is certainly an EP that throws back to the original against the current sound.
Yeah.
What do you make of this resurgence of the early aughts, late aughts, what have you, sounds that everyone's gravitating towards? And I feel like you guys have been a part of this sound the whole time to begin with.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think music is cyclical. I think it always comes back around. It's like, history always repeats itself. So does music. All of these, there's so many elements I think that people don't even realize that come back. I think right before this, not too long before this, we had like the 80s resurgence where everybody was using synths, and there's just always going to be things coming back. And it's how can you take the things that come back and make them something new? And Justin from Motion City Soundtrack, who wrote on Again and Again with us, had actually said in an interview that we reminded him of the old and something new. And that to me meant everything, because I think anyone in a band who's been in a band for 10 years probably hears pretty often, oh, I like the old stuff. The new stuff is good, but I like the old stuff. With this EP, we haven't gotten any of that, which is very, very affirming. And it's great to hear that we've taken what people loved about the old stuff and done something new with it. And I think that's great, because it's how we connected to our community in the first place. We all connected in this one place, and to be reminiscent of that, but also have a new, fresh originality to it is, I think, really powerful. And the three of us are really proud of that.
It's really interesting because when you first started, you guys were putting out covers on YouTube.
Yeah.
MySpace was a thing.
Yeah.
And here we are, fast forward, there is no more MySpace. YouTube, of course, has evolved into more of a entertainment platform for gaming and live streams and all this other stuff. And so how are you viewing social media like TikTok and all those other platforms? Do you have a strategy? Do you, how methodical are you about it?
I'm not very methodical, and I never have been. And I think, and that's not to say that I think that's what everyone should do. I think I've seen people who have very, very methodical approaches to social media, and it's worked amazingly for them. And maybe if I had more of a methodical approach, I would do better. But for me, I think maybe it comes with being a bit of like the rock background and a little less polished, a little rougher around the edges. even though I'm a gamer too and I love everything techy, I'm sitting in front of like a really intense setup right now. I think I've always wanted to feel organic and like I'm coming on to say something that means something to me, and I'm not just posting for the sake of posting. And that has been my biggest hurdle in TikTok, because TikTok is such a quantity game. You see people post almost the same TikTok like 6 times. And for me, I'm like, whoa, like I'm getting old because I don't understand this meta now. But I think that's the best social media strategy, is always just to stay authentic. Yeah, be aware of your engagement, be aware of what does well. And you don't need an analytics team to tell you that. You certainly can have one, and that's great if you would like one. But I think at the end of the day, I know our audience really well, and I know what resonates them and what resonates with me. And it's just, for me, I've always tried to keep it more conversational than anything else.
Certainly can't wait to see you back on the road. You guys put on an amazing show, and I can't wait to see that. Congrats on this release. Look forward to the new stuff and appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it too. I'm excited.